Dallas County Judge Carlos Cortez, who was arrested and charged with domestic violence in late December, was no-billed by the grand jury today. Fox 4's Sean Rabb just back from a news conference with the judge and the judge's attorney. Sean.
Yes, Clarice, Judge Cortez told me he was a different man after this experience, and he and his attorneys blasted Dallas police for what they called a lack of investigation. Cortez was represented by attorneys Kevin Brooks and Pete Schulte. He said he was completely innocent of the charges that he choked girlfriend Maggie Strother. Cortez's attorneys say the evidence overwhelmingly showed his innocence, and he said he never dreamed he would have to live through a nightmare like this.
This is a touch to every aspect of my life, not only my professional career, which has been under attack, but also my personal life. What bothers me the most is it's affected my family, my friends. It is something that is an eye-opening experience, and hopefully this will be something that others can learn from, because I would never want this to happen to anyone else, to be falsely accused of something so horrific.
Cortez's attorneys say there were video cameras at the Latour condominium building that showed Cortez, not girlfriend Maggie Strother, was telling the truth. And they say police did not do a proper investigation, adding, if a thorough investigation was done, this case would have never gone to a grand jury, maybe, they say, not even an arrest. Now, Maggie Strother's attorney, Ted Stanke, released a statement just a short time ago saying, quote, they are disappointed with the decision. He goes on to say that he stands by Maggie as she stands by her statements, and that he's proud of her for standing up to someone in such a powerful position.
Dallas County Judge Carlos Cortez was cleared today on charges of assaulting his girlfriend. Judge Cortez and his attorneys, they are in studio tonight. We're going to talk with them momentarily. Back on December 28th, Maggie Strother told officers Judge Cortez choked her and bent her over the railing of his 20th floor balcony at the Latour condominium building. He was arrested. He was charged with family violence assault. Cortez's attorneys argued that Strother was suicidal that night and was mixing prescription drugs and alcohol. They also questioned the investigation, saying a rookie Dallas police officer did not fully investigate the situation. Shortly after Judge Cortez was cleared, Maggie Strother's attorney released this statement. I'm going to read it to you, saying, we are disappointed with the grand jury's decision, but Maggie stands by her statements, and nothing that happened today changes that one bit. I'm proud of Maggie for having the courage to stand up to someone in such a powerful position, and there is a lesson to be learned here. It is important for all abuse victims to stand up to their abusers, even at the risk of being told there is not enough evidence to prosecute.
District Court Judge Carlos Cortez and his attorneys Pete Schulte and Kevin Brooks are in studio tonight, left to right, to my left and right, talk about the case and the outcome. Judge Cortez, really thank you for coming in and talking about this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was a win today, right?
No, I don't think it's a win for anything. It's a win from the standpoint that we had some closure, that the truth was able to come out today, finally, after having a gag order placed upon us for so long, and that the truth was able to come out today. And from that standpoint, we're very gratified that this day finally came.
You just heard Heather read the statement from Maggie Strother's attorney, basically saying he's proud that she stood up to you. Response?
I don't know Ted Stanke. I don't know what his agenda is. I feel that Mr. Stanke is misplaced with respect to that statement. I don't think he's seen all the evidence. I don't think he's seen the videos. And I think if he did see it, he might change his tune as far as the credibility of this person.
Let's talk about the videos then. Mr. Brooks and Mr. Schulte, you've both been critical of how the police handled this. And we're going to show a couple of videos of the incident, of the night of the incident, and an additional one. Nobody's ever seen these videos, so you talked about Mr. Stanke. If he's seen it, he'll get a chance to see it tonight if he's watching. The first one, I guess tell me what we're seeing. What it looks to me like is inside security video. So tell me what's happening. This is the night of the arrest, and what are we seeing from this video?
I had asked her to leave based on the fact that she tried to throw herself off the balcony. She had been telling me to please let her come back up. She's begging here to say, please let me come back up. And I tell her that no, you've been drinking, you're doing drugs. I can't let you stay here. You have to leave. And that's evidenced by right here. You're drinking, you're doing drugs. I can't let you leave. I can't let you stay.
And you also say if investigators were to have looked close at this, they would not see any markings on her that she claimed.
And then here she continues to say, let me up, and I'm like, no, you're throwing yourself off the balcony. What do you want me to do? I can't do anything. But yes, this surveillance was available to the police had they just asked the concierge, who was 2 feet away, for the video.
And I believe you say that what you think triggered this, and attorneys back me up if I'm right, what you were talking to the police at one point, and you were pointing out that she was under the influence and that maybe her child should not go with her, and you think that started this whole thing into motion?
When we found out that the police were coming, I told her I was going to be forced to tell them that she had been drinking, that she was mixing prescription drugs with the alcohol, and that they were going to take Reagan away, that they were not going to allow this to happen. And I think she became nervous. The police came, spoke with her. And remember, the 911 call, the police interviewing her, she mentioned nothing about choking, strangling, nothing. It was only when the police officer started asking me questions, and I told him the truth, that she went upstairs for several minutes, came back down, and then for the first time said, oh, look at these marks. Look what he did to me, because she thought I was telling the police officer she's under the influence, you cannot let her drive, and she thought that the kid was going to be taken away.
Just to set it up for our viewers, but in the timeline, the video we saw would have been taken after the alleged attack.
About an hour after the alleged attack was that video.
So you would have seen markings.
And remember, she claimed, Steve, that she had not seen Carlos since the incident. She was so scared of him. This is video that was available that night that all the police had to do, like Judge Cortez said, was ask for it.
Okay. I want to show another piece of video never before seen. Okay. This is part of a packet that was submitted. We can roll that now. The first one, part of a packet that was submitted to the DA for the grand jury to look at if they chose to in the consideration of charges or not. All right. Judge, Ms. Strother, again, you guys are driving. Tell me what you were doing, where you were driving, and what made you videotape.
I turned the video on because she had just finished hitting herself in the face, smashing her head against the emergency brake. We had to leave. We were at a Rihanna concert. We had to leave before, like 4 songs in, because she had blacked out, passed out, and we had to leave.
Okay, fast forward now to the next video where something happens, and you can kind of play by play it, and in a minute we'll listen to it all, and so that's real time. But you give me the play by play.
So here she's attacking me. She actually grabs my hand. She's going to grab the steering wheel, and then unbelievably she does this.
Bails out. Okay, now what happens after that and the allegation she makes against you is interesting. So let's play it. People can judge for themselves. Listen to what you hear.
What am I talking about? You're slamming yourself on the emergency brake. You're attacking me. Stop it! You are not spending the night with me. Stop it!
Absolutely no.
Stop it! Stop it! No! No! There's Maggie Christine.
Ow! Why the did you throw me out?
No, I had it videotaped.
Why did you throw me out?
No, I had it videotaped. I'm glad I had it videotaped. Yeah. Yeah, I had it videotaped.
No.
That's cool, dude. That's why I have it videotaped. So you can't no.
I hope you can grasp the significance of what you just saw right there. Clearly she has injured herself and immediately goes to blaming him for something that she did to herself.
Do we know if the grand jury saw that in considering and not doing the charges today?
All we can tell you is that as part of the grand jury process, we submitted that videotape to the district attorney's office. Whether they chose to submit it to the grand jury, that's not for us to know. But at least you have clear example of the kind of behavior that she's capable of, and it pretty much corroborates what Judge Cortez has been saying all along about how she was acting that night. The other thing that you need to consider is that he said she was intoxicated. In interviews, a police officer tells another officer that she was clearly intoxicated, but yet he leaves that out of the police report.
Let me ask all three of you. Judge Cortez, I don't know if you've ever said this, but I bet as a prosecutor, Mr. Schulte, you have, and Mr. Brooks, I don't know, but in cases just like this, I've heard all, court-connected people say, hey, justice was served. It worked out. If you're innocent, you didn't get charged, and justice was served. We all hear that every day. So why wasn't justice served? For the regular people, that's what we hear. Why, for a judge, wasn't justice served also?
Well, particularly for a judge who's up for re-election and has not been able to respond to these allegations because of the gag order, I don't think justice was served. For 2.5 months, he's had to sit quietly while daily he's been getting slammed by different statements of things he's alleged to have done to this lady. So that's an attack on his reputation that's going to be really hard for him to bounce back from.
Judge, it's an interesting point. You are running for re-election. Subsequent to this happening, some high-profile Democrats, John Wiley Price and Royce West, backed your opponent. How damaging has this been to your... I know there's more than a political career, but how damaging has it been to the political career?
To the political career, it's been extremely damaging. None of the endorsements that my opponent has right now were given to her until after this incident. All of the endorsements that she received from Commissioner Price, from Senator West, all of those were given after this arrest, and that's obviously been very damaging. I don't know if I'm going to be able to politically come back from this, given the almost daily attacks that the newspaper in town has been issuing. But I have faith in Dallas County voters. I think Dallas County voters are kind of like juries. They usually get it right. So we have about a week or so left to try to get this message out, and you know, we've already lost, I think, 8,000 or 10,000 votes have already been cast. Hopefully we'll be able to make up for it, but it has been incredibly damaging.
Would you be here if you weren't running? Would you be explaining your actions if you weren't up for election right now?
If I wasn't up for election and if I wasn't a judge, this would have been dismissed a long time ago.
And I'll talk about that. I mean, I've been very critical of the police department today, saying that they missed obvious signs that the story that Ms. Strother was providing that night wasn't true. All they had to do was stop, take a deep breath. Regardless if we were dealing with an elected official or anybody else, I believe they rushed this arrest. They could have seen the surveillance video that night if they had asked. They could have looked at these alleged marks on her neck and say they're not consistent with strangulation for the amount of time that she alleged it occurred. She was intoxicated. They should have gotten a supervisor out there, just taking a deep breath and let the process play out.
Let's read your opponent's statement. We've got that from Bonnie Goldstein. She says, I launched my campaign for this office before this episode occurred. I stand by my strong belief that the citizens of Dallas will be better served by someone who is both qualified and conducts herself with dignity. When I am elected, I will be in the news for the right reasons. The incumbent has been at the center of a number of negative stories long before this year. I think the voters, particularly the Democratic Party, are tired of the question marks that hang over this court because of the person who currently presides there. That's your opponent. Response to that? You don't have to, but I'm wondering if you have one.
No, now that I can answer and talk, I'd be more than happy to. That's a political statement written by someone for her to issue. As far as question marks hanging over my head, these are question marks that have been put over my head by political operatives that support her. If you remember 4 years ago, it was deja vu all over again. These alleged things that I had committed that they put out there that the media was happy to report on me. I get an opponent. Fortunately, I was reelected. Turned out not to be true, but they got it out there, and here we are today. I'm disturbed, though, that Ms. Goldstein would use, now that the truth has come out, that she would still try to use this as a political agenda to try to get elected. That's scary to me as a citizen. If I was coming in front of a judge that would base a decision on something now to show not to have happened, and to base her decision on unfounded newspaper reports and internet rather than the facts and the law.
Let me ask you something, though. I think we all admit we're all human here, but I think a lot of people watching want to hold judges to a higher standard. We don't want police coming to your house. We don't want police arresting you. We don't want messes in the street on McKinney Avenue. We don't want any of that. Is it too much to ask that not happen? You're a judge. I hold you to a higher standard. I want you to be boring. That's what I want. Why aren't you?
Let me tell you what happened that day. It was Friday night. We just got back from the Perot Museum, where I took the child to go look at some culture, some of the exhibits there at the Perot Museum. Went to dinner, got home on a Friday night, and what did I do? I made chocolate chip cookies with him while Mom was getting drunk on the couch. I played Rainbow Loom, the little rubber band jewelry stuff that kids are doing, while Mom's getting drunk on the couch. That's what I did on a Friday night. I wasn't at the bars, I wasn't at the clubs. I'm making chocolate chip cookies at my home. I don't know if it's fun or boring, but that's what I was doing.
Okay. All right. Well said. All right, Judge Cortez, thanks. Pete Schulte, thanks. Mr. Brooks, thank you for coming down. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate it. Thanks.